Hello and welcome to JoyNews Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. We are live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up, doctors at Nkrumah Teaching Hospital declare indefinite strike following forceful ejection. Details from an emergency meeting held Tuesday to demand government's swift intervention.
The unanimous decision was to lay down our tools tomorrow by 6 a.m. and then go and look for accommodation.
Also, while minority in parliament accuse ECG of abusing cash waterfall mechanism, which they say is the cause of the current power crisis.
The current load shedding we are experiencing is not technical, it is financial. It's due to mismanagement, it's due to a gross abuse of the cash waterfall mechanism and misapplication of the funds.
We have details as they insist the current load shedding is not due to repair of transformers, as the ECG claims, but a deficit in power generation. Also, Lands Minister confirms in Parliament government has engaged a company belonging to Clement Jato to reclaim encroached government lands, but says the original contract was signed under John Mahama. We have details as the minister insists the company does not engage in land guard services. Our Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh has shut down claims that the country is back to power crisis as witnessed in the past. According to him, the current situation is a temporary supply challenge which they are working to fix. He also insists that the NPP government has managed the power sector in the country despite the debt inherited. There is more in the following report.
Despite mounting concerns over persistent power outages in certain parts of the country, sparking fears of a return to the power crisis of the past, Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh reassures the public that such a situation is not imminent.
So when it comes to electricity, we've been challenged for some time. Before His Excellency got into office, we faced a situation where we literally have 3 days of 1 day or half of electricity.
Is that what you call Dumsor?
That is the only Ghanaian.
That's the only Ghanaian word I know.
But we moved from Dumsor, brother. We moved from Dumsor. We are at the situation called Dumsor.
These remarks were made by the minister during the maiden edition of Africa Energy Technology Conference held in Accra. Dr. Opoku-Prempeh used the opportunity to raise concerns about the energy management and transition in Africa.
Even now that we are all aware of energy transition, we are still thinking about produce and export, not produce and utilize in Africa to make Africa better. Not a single country in Africa thinks about Africa, that country that we in. So when you even go to their trade shows or their expo shows and things, it's always how much can we export? Check. It's called export. never use. So when
the concerns by the energy minister were amplified by one of the panel members and advocated a positive mindset towards leadership to make Africa better.
Until we come to the conclusion that leadership is a sacrifice and people are seen to be making sacrifices when they are in positions of authority, Africa will continue to be where it is.
The Africa Energy Technology Conference held in Accra highlighted Africa's potential as a key player in the global energy market. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
Now, the minority in parliament are accusing the Electricity Company of Ghana of abusing the cash waterfall mechanism causing the current crisis in the power sector. There have been weeks of erratic power supply across the country, but government insists there is no Dumsor. The cash waterfall mechanism was instituted to regulate payment from ECG to independent power producers, among others. Addressing journalists in Parliament, minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy, John Jenapo, accused ECG of diverting money meant to pay the power producers.
It's been almost a year now, and we've been monitoring it. And I can confidently, but sadly, confirm to you that the current load shedding we are experiencing is not technical, it is financial. It's due to mismanagement, it's due to a gross abuse of the cash waterfall mechanism a misapplication of the funds. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to page 1 of the report, and I'll show to you, a total amount of 820 million was received. 820 million. Indeed, government is supposed to top up an amount of 200 million, and you can see it here. Ministry of Finance top up. The Ministry of Finance is expected to release an amount of 200 million to add to the 800 million, so that you will have about 1 billion cedis for disbursement. Of this disbursement, what they call category A, which is the IPPs, they are supposed to receive 500 million. Then the other 300 million, as you can see in the document, is shared amongst the rest. Then the Ministry of Finance pays the 200. But when you read this report, and that is where our problem comes from, ECG collects 820 million. Instead of paying 500 million to the power sector players, ECG decides that, and this is here, page 2, paragraph 2.3, actual disbursement of revenue to sector players. The total actual revenue reported by ECG to level A beneficiaries stood at 120 million. Instead of 500 million, they paid 120 million to the IPPs. That is one problem. 2, instead of paying the 300 million to Gridco, VRA, and the other power sector players, they paid 162 million. So what it means is that over 500 million cedis cannot be accounted for. Over 500 million cedis has been used outside the cash waterfall mechanism. We do not know where that money went.
Now, according to John Jenapo, contrary to claims by the ECG that the current erratic power supply is due to repair or transformers, it is actually due to deficit in power generation caused by ECG's failure to pay the power producers.
There's been some consistent erratic power supply for almost 2 months now. The minority has been monitoring the situation, and we can confirm that contrary to the false impression emanating from ECG that they are in the process of maintaining some transformers, the reality is that there's a deficit in generation. A deficit in generation means that the generation capacity is not able to meet the demand. And because of that, there has to be what they call load shedding, popularly known in our local parlance as Dumsor. This has been consistent. It's been going on for about 2 months. But what surprises us is the intransigence of the managers of the energy sector by refusing to admit the truth that we have a generation challenge. And this generation challenge is largely on account of the inability of government to support ECG in procuring fuel. Eventually, it becomes our national debt, and the energy sector cannot respond. And that is why we're having this challenge today. If we have fuel today, the load shedding will be over. We're experiencing Dumsor because there's inadequate fuel to fire the thermal plants.
Now, John Jenapo says the country is shedding significant amount of power despite even reducing power supply to Togo and Ivory Coast.
Let me just give you the report from yesterday. And this is incontrovertible. Yesterday's peak was 3,000 in terms of capacity. That's what they were able to generate. The demand was 3,543. So clearly there's a shortfall of 500. And this is from the systems control room. We also have people who are honest, who are patriotic, and will provide us with information. We've even reduced export to Cote d'Ivoire to 27 megawatts, Sonabel to 150, and CEB, which is to 54. So we are even losing that market. And that's a market that gives us foreign exchange. So if this happens, and ECG was sharing 450 megawatts, so this has nothing to do with so-called obsolete transformers. Transformers do not get overloaded overnight. It builds up. And so what is ECG's maintenance culture? What is their investment culture? That even tells you that they are not doing the right thing. Because you can't have the whole of Ghana, suddenly, all our transformers getting overloaded overnight. It's never the case. It takes time, it builds up, and as it builds up, you put in more transformers, you upgrade the transformers so that you can hold the system. So if ECG suddenly tells us that the whole of Ghana, our transformers are overloaded, and their maintenance work is no more daytime, but rather between 7 and 11 p.m., that is blatant falsehood.
Now, still in Parliament, the minority in Parliament say government must live up to its responsibilities and complete the abandoned Shama District Hospital. President Akufo-Addo cut short for the construction of the facility in 2020, but there is no contractor on site almost 4 years on. The 32 million euro facility is still yet to take off while the people of Shama continue to struggle to access healthcare. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwame Asante reports.
The ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwame, is urging the government to, as a matter of urgency, commence construction of the abandoned Shama District Hospital. The 100-bed facility, which President Akufo-Addo cut short for its construction in August 2020, has since been abandoned. Parliament approved 32 million euro loan facility for the construction of the district hospital, and subsequently President Akufo-Addo cut short at the proposed site. Kwame says government has neglected the people of Shama.
We have come to see a bare land. I think the people of Shama deserve better. And as a matter of urgency, we think that the government must bring the contractor back to site to commence the construction of Shama District Hospital. Because for the past 4 years, the minister responsible for health has not come to the floor of the House to even give us the status of Shama District Hospitals. And for me, that is quite disrespectful. And so we are sending clear signal, clear warning to the president, the vice president, that not until they commence, complete, and put to good use the Shama District Hospital, we will be here on several occasions. The president said there was a dedicated sources of funding and that this project was not going to see any delay. Go back and read the speech of the president. Come to meet another pit. You can see clear from my back. I mean, this government is not prioritizing the health sector. The people of Shama, they need their district hospital. Whatever it takes for them to come and commence and complete and put the facility to good use. It should not be a political tool as usual. That because we have come here, they are bringing contractors on site for few months, then they leave for the people to vote for them, and after voting, that's the end.
Member of the Health Committee, Alexander Roosevelt Hotoje, says it is unacceptable that the facility has been abandoned.
So I'm not surprised that the people of Shama are suffering this way. The people of La, we had to go there more than 4 times as minority members of the Health Committee to press home their demand. And we've seen that nothing is being done in Shama, and we are here today. And it's not going to be a 9 days wonder. We'll pick it up for you. We'll try as much as possible that they also start this work and bring it to completion for it to be put to good use, for the people of Shama to access quality health care.
NDC parliamentary candidate for Shama, Emilia Arthur, says the people of Shama have been abandoned by the NPP government.
Have you seen the hole, another pit here in Shama district? This is supposed to have been our district hospital. The funding, as I'm understanding from Parliament, the loan was approved 4 years ago. sword was cut here by the president himself. When they cut the sword, the tree that was planted is higher than any of us here right now. If the tree has grown to that height, then that should tell you how long ago the sword was cut here. Up to today, there's nothing happening here. They bought some trucks here. Everything has been taken away. The issue, in fact, what is most painful is that initially they wanted to demolish the existing health center that we have to build it, and the health personnel refused it. What would have happened if they had demolished that health center and not built it like we are experiencing here? Where would people get health care from? Not everybody can afford private health care. Since there are some of their leading MPP leading officials here who have private health centers themselves. So maybe it is in their interest that the public district hospital is not built, so they continue to make their money. But the point is that it is a disappointment. It is not acceptable. This is not the mark of good governance.
As the people of Shama wait for government to get the contractor to mobilize to site and get the work done, residents continue to struggle to access basic healthcare services, calling on government to urgently act. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante.
Still on the health sector, the Company of Teaching Hospital Doctors Association has declared an indefinite strike following what they describe as forceful ejection from the hospital's accommodation. Consultant and specialist doctors occupying the facilities in the Danyame enclave say they are facing threat from a private developer seeking to eject them after serving a one-week notice. The association says the strike is to demand the government's swift intervention. My colleague Nana Boache Yadom reports.
Medical doctors at the Company Teaching Hospital say they are embarking on an indefinite strike over what leadership describe as harassment and persistent orders to move out of their Denyame residence in Kumasi. The doctors on Tuesday concluded on the industrial action to demand the installation of their bungalows despite claims that it has been sold out. Dr. Michael Leet is the president of the Cath Doctors Association. He explains the frustration of the affected doctors.
Some doctors in the Denyame residence are supposed to be evicted. I mean, this has been ongoing for about a year now. And as an association, we suggested some measures to management, but we see this to be beyond our hospital management, in that they are not the owners of the land per se. So some of our doctors have been an eviction. They've been given notices to evict their accommodation units within a week. Some have had their water supply cut off. Some have been called in.
According to him, the doctors at the hospital will lay down their tools to seek access to their accommodation.
We have close to about 20-something doctors, plus other staff of the Company and other doctors from other hospitals. So we thought it wise that if you are being evicted, then we meet and decide as a group what is the next step. And what came out, the unanimous decision was to lay down our tools tomorrow by 6 a.m. and then go and look for accommodation.
Meanwhile, the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah says the allegation of ejection are true. He wants the affected doctors to provide evidence to support their claims.
If I hear somebody say that we're giving him 1 week to vacate his bungalow or something, they should produce the letter so that we know the author of that letter. Whoever wrote that letter to them, we want to know. And also, we've had agreement with the contractors that before they move anybody, they have to rent a place for the person for a period of 2 years, by which time we will be sure we will be done with all the structures we are putting up. And they should produce a letter that is giving them an ultimatum of 1 week. They should provide that letter to you. And we've said that no developer should move anybody without a rented alternative accommodation.
The minister indicated that the government is constructing bungalows to accommodate several doctors within the region.
Originally, we decided to build 200. Now we've reduced it to 180 because we are sure that the 180 will be enough for all those that we are going to relocate. And this location is one site, that is one contractor's site. And here we have more than 30 structures. As you can see, most of them are above 80% complete. Only few will be around maybe 75.
For JoyNews, Nana Boache Dankwayadom, Kumasi.
Now, pupils of the Tafiase Basic School in the Sesala East municipality of the Upper West region struggle to cope with academic activities due to the unavailability of desks. Junior high school students sit on mats during instructional hours, while few available broken pieces of door desks serve pupils on first-come, first-served basis. Here's a report by Stanley Nibleu.
The Tafiase Basic School serves children from more than 3 adjoining communities due to its proximity. However, furniture is a major challenge in this school as the situation persists in all classes. A weak standing mat structure accommodates KG1 and 2 pupils who sit and perform all academic works on the floor. This has been the practice for years.
In fact, the furniture situation in Tafiase Basic School is very bad. Some sit on mats. Then those who are even fortunate to sit on the drill desks, they sit 4-4. Because of that, it causes truancy.
The classroom serves the pupils during the day and houses goats at night. The situation is no different in the lower and upper primary levels. Broken pieces of furniture support the sitting posture of students at the junior high school. Few desks meant for 2 students are now occupied by 5 people, but even that, it is being assessed on first-come, first-served basis. The headmaster of the school, Comfort Bundi, is concerned the situation frequently results in fisticuffs among students.
One will come and put the bag on the desk and go out. Then the moment they march in, another will go and pick it and throw it and sit and say, I came inside first before you. So at times, we do face those kind of problems. So when a class teacher enters, you rather ask those who fight to also sit on the floor, ask somebody to sit. Then that is how we are just managing with the situation.
Inadequate furniture for pupils is a widespread phenomenon in the Sesala East municipality. But the municipal chief executive, Fuseni Yakubu Baton, said measures are in place to remedy the prevailing furniture situation.
The challenge of furniture is actually an eyesore. I want some. I've seen the challenge they are facing. So across any of the communities I've visited, I try as much as possible to also get to the school to see what it is. Because I'm a teacher myself. Okay. So obviously this challenge is a worry to us. And like I said, in our next year's budget, we are putting closer to 400 pieces of furniture to be added.
Ghana's basic education subsector has the largest infrastructure deficits, with education think tank Africa Education Watch reporting about 2.3 million children in Ghana's public basic schools lacking furniture. This undoubtedly casts a slur on government's investment in education, as prevailing educational situation defeats the country's commitment to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, which targets the achievement of sustainable education and lifelong learning for all by 2030. Stanley Nibleu's report, read to you.
And this is still the JoyNews Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Do stay. Welcome back from the break. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abojinapo, has confirmed to Parliament that government has engaged the services of a company owned by Clement Jatto to reclaim encroached government lands. The minister has, however, explained that this contract was actually executed under the NDC in 2012. It will be recalled that Tamale North MP Alhassan Sohini had alleged that government had engaged the services of land guards to reclaim encroached state lands. Listen to the MP respond to these claims on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, over the years, public lands have come under serious threat from encroachers, with the state losing several prime lines these encroachers, including sensitive lands like Ramsar site and other biodiversity hotspots. This is as a result of years of actions and inactions. In most cases, the original owners of these lands, even after due compensation have been paid by the state to them, turn around and purport to sell these same lands to third parties. Mr. Speaker, the Lands Commission, the constitutional body responsible for managing these lands, lacks the requisite capacity to adequately protect them from encroachers, hence the indiscriminate encroachment of public lands over the years, a situation we all find unfortunate. Sometime in the year 2012, Anani International Company Limited, whose chief executive officer is Clement Jato, applied to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources for land to develop commercial and residential complexes in the Greater Accra region. The then Minister, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mike Allen Hammer, by a letter dated 15th August 2012, addressed to the President of the Republic, requested for executive approval to allocate 172.18 acres of land in the Adenta municipality, popularly known as aviation land, to the company. However, since the said land had been heavily encroached at the time, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources engaged Anani International Company Limited to clear encroachers from the said land in exchange for parcels of land as consideration. The company successfully cleared all encroachers on the land, and, Mr. Speaker, with the approval of the then President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, contained in a letter dated 29 August 2013, the company was subsequently engaged to finance the construction of 100 residential, 100 residual apartments on the land in consideration for 140 acres of the land. This agreement has been executed. Following the success of the demolition exercise carried out at the Adenta aviation land and the retrieval of the said land from encroachers, the Ministry of Land and Natural Resources has since the year 2012 engaged Anani International Company Limited and subsequently Anok Holdings Limited after its incorporation in 2014 to carry out a number of demolition exercises and repossess public lands that have been encroached upon in consideration of allocation of portions of these lands.
Now, the minister also says he has renegotiated the contract to give the company 15% of all the land it is able to reclaim.
With the greatest of respect, again, I think my honorable colleague is misconstrued or misinterpreted the act he just read. The Speaker, the act he read clearly on the face of it is an act of parliament which criminalizes land guardism, if you want, land guards and vigilante groups and all of that. The Speaker, Anok Company Limited is not a vigilante group. It's not a land guard group. Mr. Speaker, they do not employ the services of land guards. They do not employ the services of land guards. They are not a vigilante. Mr. Speaker, and if the honorable member or anybody had evidence or had reason to believe that this company employs the service of land guards and vigilante groups, I think the right thing is to report it to the police for them to be dealt with, because that is a criminal act. So, Mr. Speaker, let me just assure this House that the company is not a vigilante, is not a land guard. I will never be party to such an understanding or arrangement. So, I think this act doesn't apply to the situation we are dealing with here.
But some NCMPs are not enthused about that government will engage a private company to protect state lands, despite the availability of the police, military, and other security agencies. Listen to Samuel Okujoto Ablakwa and Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakbo.
Listen to the Honorable Minister. I've really been struggling to find out within me the rationale for this arrangement. Failed state. That with the entire national security apparatus, Ministry of the Interior, Ministry of Defense, National Security, police, and all of that. We can't protect state lands. And we now have to engage a private entity to be protecting lands for us. I mean, then we should close down state institutions. I really can't believe this. I mean, Mr. Speaker, in all of this arrangement, no one for money. The minister himself admits that there was no PPA approval, if you look at page 48. And they had to later go for PPA approval, and PPA said they should go and reduce it from 25% to 15%. Financial loss to the state. So, Mr. Speaker, what is going on? Can't the state security apparatus do this work? Do we need private entities to come and remind us of how failed the state has become?
The minister is my colleague at the back.
Are you the senior?
I'm senior to him. By far. Mr. Speaker, Section 7 of Act 999 proscribes any facilitation, promotion of any activity concerning land gardening. So, like my brother Eddie Bauer said, the incorporation of a company to engage in land guard activities is unlawful ab initio. So the superintendent minister ought not to have engaged a company of that nature. That being the case, can the minister provide to this house the particular contract in question, the terms of the contract, the nature of the lands that they got, and the nature that the company undertakes this land guardism? This house must know.
Our election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the Associations of International Election Headquarters for an Informed Electorate. Now, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, is requesting an answer to why the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, is waiting to be voted as president before scrapping some taxes. This is in direct response to the Vice President's vision of scrapping some levies, including e-levy, if power is retained. Mr. Mahama, addressing Christian leaders, has made a solemn promise to rationalize some taxes since the IMF conditionalities may not allow immediate scrapping of some levies. Nanaya Ojima toured the Greater Accra region with the former president, and as far as this report.
Preachers of the gospel from many churches in the Greater Accra region were present at the meeting. Many of them had the opportunity to get their inputs taken by the NDC. Most of the concerns raised bordered on deteriorating economy, with some of them taking interest in import duties. The former president explained additional levies are to blame for the hike in amount paid at the ports.
The import duty is not much the problem. The import duty is normally 10%, except for luxury goods. Luxury goods is about 20-something%. The problem is the additional levies. There are so many levies. Yesterday, my regional chairman was showing me a list of a container that somebody had cleared. And you just had import duty, value-added tax, get fund, NHIL. But after that, the total list was about 19. COVID levy, special import levy, what and what levy. And the unfortunate thing is, these are the people who told us we're going from taxation to production. From taxation to production. But in the history of this country, they've levied more taxes than any other government in history. And it leads to credibility problems, not only for them, but also for us. Because I go to many places and people say, but you politicians, before you get power, you tell us this, then when you come, you do something different.
However, the NDC flag bearer called on the government to scrap some levies to ease the burden of businesses. Mr. Mahama assured preparedness to rationalize the taxes if voted to power.
And so, I don't know, the driver and his driver's mate, if they are listening, If you are listening, don't wait till you come to office. They say when they come, they'll take e-levy, emissions levy, betting levy, they'll take them all. Why wait till you come? You can do it now. Because the people are complaining that the taxes are too many. A businessman came to me and said, look, their businesses are struggling because of the taxes. And Ghana Revenue Authority is on their necks every minute with audits. And so I assured him that when we come, we'll rationalize the taxes. They have signed an agreement with the IMF. And so you might not be able to come and dismantle those taxes immediately. But we will rationalize them. We will make sure that we get revenue from other places.
For Joy News, Nana Aljima, Greater Accra Region.
Now, the national chairman of the opposition, NDC, has cautioned party supporters against creeping wrangling for positions in government ahead of election victory. Johnson Asiedu Nketia says such actions can ruin the party's success at the polls. Speaking at a meeting with NDC supporters as part of the Building Ghana tour, he said the party members should rather keep the focus on winning power. Nana Aljima has more in the following report.
The NDC chairman is already on a mission of reconciliation among party members across the country. According to Johnson Asiedu Nketia, visits to some constituencies have revealed interest in some positions in government have caused chaos among party members.
We've been going to the various constituencies in the region. There are places you go, and the difference is about somebody has said that when we win our appointment, the DC. And then that becomes the major bone of contention why you cannot even cooperate to win first. If you don't win, how do you get that DC? There are places where somebody will be fighting that. I have heard that that person is in that person's good books. And I've heard rumors that he will be appointed over me. So let me try and make sure we can win. Let's go for the hunting first. And when we bring the meat, we then decide who take the head, who take the quarter, who take this and who take that.
The NDC chairman says unity remains the important element in the quest for power. To him, the cause of disunity among party members may come from any causes, especially their opponents.
And if you are being used and you don't know that you are being used, then there's something wrong. The biggest problem the MPP is having now is unity. If you don't have that unity, you can have all the money in the world, you can't win election. So they would want to create disunity amongst us so they can weaken us and defeat us.
Now, will the people of Anya give majority of their vote to the NDC, NPP, Movement for Change, ACP, or another political party? What will inform their vote? They have been speaking to us on Voters' Voice.
Na me ampa de se me vote pa in the abandon beton.
We all know how Ghana is. The economy is very hard and we are all trying our best to make a living. But for me, I don't think I'll vote. I'll be voting this year because the last vote I did, my first vote didn't go well for me, so I don't think I'll vote.
Maybe NDC befa this year. Na yentra ono sonhwese sena.
The my first sugar me use me to asana. Me use first Mahama time na sugar 900 cedis per bag. Say sugar 6.5, 6.8. So nti abrabo no de dem papa my nti e was aba no omunhwe no munye bibim emfa ho. School na ye mba no ko e free education. Enso e ka ye bono. Enya asem kitwa. Me ba penini say okọ school go for the asset tech. Let me tell you about 3.7. 3 months or 4 months. Now, of course, here, me tell you more than that. Yes, if kakra no afraid you ani, ebi okra you ani ni hokra omedi.
Kemi me tuka kakra timba me won se Ghana e din pa.
scan crowd, no sound crowd who may be a corner and mind my heading. Almost politics no my own who dear corner that didn't Ghana 7 day. Muntua bandi yena mine musisana imunya de crowd so say hiding for anya easy crowd. Me crowd about to crowd and me to abem because otu na omkonya ba bitina we no mu fi obi a we na uni scan na say almost to nchena when I was sent to attack the mom no dey the about one there to about me to about because Ghana sit na anya de crowd.
Oh, about one there was say yana didn't see yana be taxes ayen hwe se ne obeba no so no obesa yesa onu so ba no ntumi besa de fufresi subio
kayento na o my papa bla papa ne yebo my mo niam bi anye bibie ni hweye beka so ba ya de ka so wa ya ni kan education asan bibie ni ho bi.
They promised us that they were coming to do it good. You know, things were bad before. We trusted them to do it better. Not perfect, but at least comfortable a bit. But it couldn't work like that. Things are deteriorating as compared to the past.
Well, for me, the current government has done well. He has really done well. Nana Akufo-Addo has done very well. We will have to give him credit because there are certain things that happened earlier on concerning maybe, for example, COVID destroyed the economy. Now, Bawumia is also another promising man who is coming in to do what was destroyed before. So I think that it will be very good if we give him the chance because he has never been president before.
Everybody knows the situation in the country now. So far, we've witnessed the past governance and witnessed the present one. We can see obviously there's a big gap between the past and now, you know.
The other opponents has been president, and we knew and we know what he came to do. Now, this person who is coming on board, so let's give him the chance so that we will make his digitization too, because that alone can change the mindset of Ghanaians, so that we will have a good economy. Hence,
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountant and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the associations of international election headquarters for an informed electorate. This is still the JoyNews Prime. We'll take a break. We'll be back with showbiz. Do stay. Well, welcome back. Let's do showbiz now. And, you know, the lady who has been recognized as part of the most 50 most influential young females, you know, in Africa is here. Hi, how you doing, Becky?
You don't have to do that. You've been away for how many weeks?
But I was reading. If I was away, it doesn't mean I was cut off. I was following what was happening.
How was your leave?
I was working, so it was fine. It was tiresome.
Just say that it was restful. So
it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No, I wasn't resting.
You were working on your leave?
Yes. Anyway, but that's for another conversation. Let's move on.
Let's talk about the royalty system in Ghana when it comes to music production and music dissemination. Sarkodie, I'm sure this has been a conversation going on for a while. We spoke about it. We're still talking about it. But Sarkodie has added his voice. He says that the system, if the right things are put to place or put in place, we will enjoy the benefits. Sarkodie.
The main reason why I'm sitting here is because of royalties. Not necessarily, I'm somebody that panic before something happened. You know, so when I had my first record in Ghana, which was the biggest hit, instead of me enjoying the moment, I was panicking because I was thinking about how to top that. So naturally, that's how I am as a person. So I'm not there yet. I'm not old. I'm still getting paid. But you never know. It's just a matter of time. So I'm panicking now, trying to solve it. So the royalty system has been a big issue here in Ghana, but it's very, very, something so little to do. It's not that hard. It's just putting the system in place and just getting the money back. You know, we have our people here playing the music. If there was a system in here where they had to log in for everything they're playing here, they play 2 of my songs. That's, let's say 2 CDs. 2 CDs each is 4. So they just this evening I made 4 CDs. And how many events are they having in a week? Parties, naming ceremonies, funerals. we can get paid every second.
What I want to know is the platforms that you deal with so far are fair in their distribution.
That's a business model, so it will be at this point, because we don't have an option. You deal with what you have. Okay. You know, so you would wish you can have a good fair share, but I think some platforms.
Michael also Adu there. Let's move away, Brace, and talk about the movie industry. So, you know Mickey Osei-Beko, he's an actor and he's also a broadcaster. He's called Master Richard. Yes. Everybody knows that he's called Master Richard. He was on Showbiz A to Z with my colleague Kwame Daze, and he's been talking about the Ghana movie industry. He says that the Ghana movie industry hasn't been able to use a film to project the culture, which is the Ghanaian culture, enough.
I think the understanding is there that film is a tool to project one's culture, one's livelihood, one's story, one's history. These are enormous benefits that film brings to society. On top of that, it also creates employment for masses of the population, if well trained. And we know the consequences on economics and all of that. So it's been clear since God knows when film started. But as to whether we have taken advantage of that to project our country, our history, our culture, and all the areas that I mentioned, I will say no. I think that we started on the path, but at the point in time, we either got stuck or we forgot about the principles, and we were not able to use this important tool, or we have not been able to use this important tool to do what other societies have used films to do to their benefit.
Actor Mickey Osei-Beko. Now, Vice President and MPP flag bearer Dr. Baumia has paid a visit to popular Ghanaian actor John Bredu Piasa, known popularly as Drogba, who is battling a rare neurological condition. Drogba, best known for his role in the hit TV youth series YOLO, has been fighting a disorder that damages the protective myelin sheath surrounding nerves for over 2 years now. The condition causes difficulties with movement, sensation, and other neurological functions for the beloved comedian. Treatment for the lifelong disease has placed a huge financial burden on Drogba and his family. In recognition of Drogba's contribution to Ghana's entertainment industry and his current medical predicament, Vice President visited the ailing actor at his home on Tuesday, March 11. A video of the visit posted on X show the Vice President being welcomed by the family members of the actor. Well, we're grateful to the Vice President for doing that. A lot more politicians are, helping the industry and its members. Recently, Wendy Shea also,
KK
Kabobo, the former president, John Dramani Mahama, also visited KK Kabobo, and they've all been giving, the best help that they could.
Interesting times ahead.
Yeah. Well, we wish Drogba all the best. We hope that he comes out of this pretty soon. All right. Thank you so much, Brace. Thank you so much for having us in your homes. Samuel Minta, we're grateful, and everybody who loves Joy News. And please, for more news, log on to myjohnline.com. Look at the way he's looking. That'll be all for the news. We'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.